So thank you, Cosmic Light Collective, being with us today, and the clear light of creation being present to us, and these beautiful celestial clear light of creation beings that have begun to work within and with us, specifically for our country. We thank you very much. And I got the message that you want to talk to us about waiting. And we are anxiously looking forward to your message for us. We have some questions about it, but we recognize that you have a lot to share with us about the concept of waiting. And we are absolutely, as a nation and as a world, in a massive waiting process as COVID-19 does its thing throughout our country, throughout our world, and makes us confront, respect, understand, grow, evolve through very difficult periods of waiting and testing. So here are our opening questions. What is the power of waiting that we need to embrace? How do we access the gifts of waiting and recognize them as we're moving through them? And specifically in the pandemic and in all of the waiting that we're in between the vaccines and economic relief and hope for the future. How can we wait without anxiety? Is that one of the gifts that waiting brings, to be able to release that anxiety? And we are honoring that the experience of recovery from major physical illness is very painful and very hard. And we're asking, how do we let go and let the healing evolve in these experiences of recovery that are so massively difficult? And what is it that we are supposed to be learning through waiting itself? What are the lessons to be learned, and how do we identify those as they appear, rather than simply being caught up in aggravation or despair as the waiting continues? I'm going to add another question here that is a powerful one that's just come to my awareness. And you all know that I say to you, you'll tell me about windows of opportunity that open for individuals or groups. And in that window of opportunity, they can make strides, right? And I watch numbers of people, right, know that window of opportunity is there, and really work very hard in that waiting process to find their way through the door, through the window, right? And it gets so difficult and so cumbersome that as they're waiting for the breakthrough and working towards it, they reach a place where all their motivation is gone. I've noticed that with humans, there needs to be a specific amount of success at a specific period of time in the journey. Otherwise, the whole thing's lost. And that human experience has just taken the possibilities that were there and just sort of dashed them. Whether the window is open or the door is open still doesn't matter. It's become too difficult to wait. It's become too difficult to carry on. And the door or the window will close because the time that they need, the waiting that went on in the period that was being described, nothing happened in the waiting that would allow them to propel themselves forward. And I think that is a really big issue with general human existence. And so I'm going to ask you to address that as well in your conversation with us. And I thank you for taking that on. Okie dokie, let me get a drink and we will begin. Welcome all. It is always a pleasure to be in your company. It is always a pleasure to receive your questions. We appreciate your intelligence, your curiosity, your honesty, and your willingness to speak the truth as you experience it. We find that incredibly refreshing and truly life-giving. So kudos on all the questions that you've been asking in all the months that we've been together. And today's are pivotal and powerful in relationship to what we wish to share. So let's go ahead and begin. Take a big breath and hold it for as long as you can. Just hold it. And then, when it's too much, start to gently release it like blowing through a straw. Just gently release it like blowing through a straw. So many of you hold your breath, literally and figuratively, and forget to breathe, to exhale, to release gently like blowing through a straw. Waiting is a process of readiness. It's a process of awakening to readiness. Right? A process of awakening into readiness. And when you awaken into readiness, there is an excitement that becomes available to you. And that excitement allows you to embrace what's coming with joy. So the real purpose of waiting isn't to make your life more difficult. It's to allow you to open up to a possibility that you're not in control of, but that has great possibilities for your evolution, for your thriving. If you think of waiting as a coat that you're wearing to keep you warm before you enter into this beautiful home or castle or church or wherever would be beautiful and amazing for you, right? You huddled in, right? You're huddled in and you're waiting to get to your destination. And then you can throw that coat off and you arrive in the destination and you can receive it with joy. Because that process of awakening, process of waiting, has also become an anticipatory experience. And when we talk about the power of unconditional love, the power of unconditional love is always creating goodness. The power of love as it creates goodness is excited about how it's going to deliver a relationship, an opportunity, an experience, a situation. Its power is in its ability to wait until all the aspects of the situation, the relationship, the environment are fully in place to be impactful and successful. Waiting is a strategy for success. It's a wonderful strategy for success because it allows you to optimize your resources. with intelligent awareness. Optimize your resources with intelligent awareness. And once that strategy for success has really been implemented, well, now you're on the journey, the new journey that has been prepared for you in the waiting, tweaked and configured so that when it activates, when it realizes, when it becomes a living opportunity, you can take advantage of it. You can move through it. You spend how many years in higher education? Waiting to get your degree, waiting to have your credentials, waiting to pass your test for your licenses, so that you can engage in careers successfully because you're trained and you're practiced and you're ready to succeed. If you consider waiting as these strategies for success, where you're optimizing these resources, waiting isn't a useless activity that's to aggravate and bore you. It is an impactful experience of training and self-awareness. A practical experience of training and self-awareness. So much good happens during the process of waiting if you work through the waiting. If you just wait and do nothing, well, of course you're going to be aggravated. But if you work through the waiting to take advantage of strategizing for success, of recognizing all the resources at your disposal, you can make a massive difference in how you arrive at the outcome. The topic of waiting is extremely critical as we move into the winter solstice and the immediate year ahead, because you're still waiting as you enter 2021. But as you enter 2021, you have to work through the waiting. You have to be active in the process. Work through the waiting. Don't just sit there. Don't just sit there. So, how many people have lost businesses that have to reconfigure in the waiting? In the waiting, reconfigure, begin to have some strategies for where they would like to emerge post-COVID. Post-COVID. You work through the waiting. You don't just sit it out. You become responsive to the power of unconditional love moving through you. In the waiting, you don't have the limitations and restrictions that happen when you arrive at a responsibility. In the waiting period, there is flexibility to try out things that you don't try out when you have arrived at a destination. And you have a plan, you have an objective, you have a goal, and you start working on those. creativity is one of the gifts of waiting, because you have the time to creatively consider options. The time to creatively consider options. Now, we recognize that everything that we're saying to you is hitting home. We know that. But it's hitting home because all of you are willing to settle into your soul awareness and receive the guidance from your soul that allows you to strategize and optimize and recognize. A third-dimensional human being on their own can't do that because they don't have the faithfulness that your soul awareness provides. See, waiting is all about faith in action. All about faith in action. In action, not in stasis, in action. In the waiting periods, faith moves, shifts, changes. It makes us confront the questions inside that we don't ask when we're preoccupied with responsibility. It creates the freedom to explore to what, to whom, and how you are actually responsible. Pivotal questions now, aren't they? When you bring the question of responsibility into waiting, everything changes. How do you responsibly wait? And in that responsibility, how do you collaboratively create with your own soul to strategize, optimize, and recognize? All human beings spend 9 months being built inside mama's belly. A lot of waiting going on, right? Parents are waiting, their lives preparing for great change. Do you optimize and optimize and recognize and strategize? And do you do it just for a baby? When you're birthing your new life every day when you wake up in the morning. You are all in a profound period of waiting as COVID-19 makes you strategize, optimize, and recognize. But waiting isn't about slowing down as much as it is about understanding timing, understanding divine timing. How all of those pieces come together in the best way possible. Divine timing. See, waiting is the word that 3D humans are comfortable with. 5D soul-aware individuals replace waiting with divine timing. You know, she often asks us questions about her missions, her timing, different things like that. And we will say to her, over and over and over again, it is not your time. And she accepts it. She doesn't understand it, but she accepts it because it is not her time. And when it is her time, what needs to emerge, the outcomes that will flow, will do so effortlessly because of the preparation that is happening in the waiting, in the work that is being done in the process of living, recognizing that your time is not at hand. And if you can trust divine timing, you will find great contentment and expansion in your internal processes without having to be frustrated and aggravated, despairing, hopeless, losing self-esteem, or even grief-stricken. Many New Age people throw around those words, divine timing, as a way to make it sort of easier. No, divine timing isn't easy. It has never been easy. It is about a profound experience of waiting. A profound experience of waiting. Where majesty meets manifestation. Where majesty meets manifestation. Just has to be the right connection between all the moving parts to make manifestation filled with the majesty of divinity impacting humanity in its most useful way. So you may ask, why are we bringing up this topic today? Because as you enter the energies of the winter solstice, each of you is entering into the journey of majestic manifestation in divine timing throughout 2021. Your ability to awaken to the work that you're doing, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, etherically, physically, that is preparing you for the impact of divine timing in your life and in the lives of all you will touch, will happen in moments in 2021 in ways you cannot even remotely comprehend. We are asking you to utilize the illumination, the brilliance of your clear light octahedrons, to release that ignorance and arrogance. So in this process of waiting, you are working through your soul awareness and your soul empowerment to strategize the most majestic manifestation that will create the success of unconditional loving and evolutionary leaps moving forward in each of your lives. For some of you, these things will be small. For others, they'll be large. It doesn't matter what they look like to anybody else. All that matters is that you embrace them and that you engage them as they emerge throughout 2021. Small acts of courage lead to majestic manifestation in divine timing. But sometimes the courageous act is the surrender into the process. Sometimes the courageous act is learning about the process. Sometimes the courageous act is releasing resources that you don't need and discovering the ones that you actually do. We spoke of twists and turns in 2021, and waiting will be a lot of the process of twisting and turning. But if you wait with grace, if you appreciate the opportunity to strategize for success, if you recognize that everything has to align in divine timing for the highest good of all, then you make the most of where you are and how you are there and what is occurring in the moment that you're waiting. It isn't so much that the world is waiting for 75% of the population to be vaccinated so that you can go back to life as normal. Life is not going to go back to life as normal. Life is going to emerge in a new way. A new normal. A better normal. But that clear light of creation in that spinning octahedron allows you to enjoy creating the new normal while you're waiting. By arriving at the destination with new plans in hand, ready for some majestic manifestation to offer profound healing, peace, and hope that has been long overdue. And sometimes it's just in your own homes, in your own families. And other times it's much bigger. If you think about how long we have waited for you to be able to work with us, we're talking long time. And in our process of waiting for you to be ready to be partners with us in evolution, we had to go to work. We didn't lollygag and just wait for you to come together. We found ways, and we did research, and we tried in many, many fashions to prepare for you and what it would take to guide you. And so here we are. We are not waiting. We are working with you now on the outcomes that are being prepared through the unconditional love, soul awareness, and soul empowerment that you choose every day of your lives. So many children are waiting for Christmas Day, hoping, believing, anticipating. Even in a pandemic, children understand that learning how to wait makes you a stronger, more aware, and much more empowered person, because you have the capacity to control yourself. And to understand pathways to success that self-control provides. Waiting is so much more than you knew, and filled with so many opportunities that are at your disposal. The faithful recognize that there's choices to be made through the period of waiting. You can choose anxiety as a third dimensional response, or you can choose faithful preparation as a fifth dimensional response. In one, you're out of control, and in the other, you're empowered. And the sense of empowerment and learning and growing allows you to strategize, optimize, and recognize that your soul is really busy preparing for something wonderful for you, if you're willing to see it. If you're willing to experience the preparation. Consider all the training that your major athletes go through. All the waiting to compete, all the waiting during competitions to find out their levels and their places. There's a difference between that kind of focused concentration on one particular outcome and a more open awareness of the soul's ability to deliver way beyond first, second, or third place, gold, silver, or bronze medals. As we embrace this clear light of creation and the crystalline beings choosing to assist for these next 12 years in particular, they are actively moving and working through this waiting process to a moment of divine timing when the enlightened population of the world, the United States, chooses collectively to arrive at a destination of becoming that began when human consciousness was seated on this planet. That's a lot of waiting. But divine timing is on its way. And everything you need to succeed is being provided for you now. We're not saying that it's easy. What we are saying is, it can be fascinating. It can be invigorating. It can be exciting. It can be wonderful, even when it's hard. even when it's hard. Your soul will have you looking forward and looking up, when your ego would have you looking down. Keep your third eye open and your clairaudient ears awake. And the guidance, the awareness, and the assistance will emerge, making faith a living experience of support. Making faith a living experience of support. And we have great faith in you. Great faith in you. And you have earned that within us. We hope that this has inspired and invigorated you, because we are inspired and invigorated by you. And we choose, as you enter into this season of new birth, to infuse this time, this powerful time of change and confrontation, waiting, anticipation, and hope, with the reality of the evolution that's occurring, the work that's being done, the progress in the spiritual, mental, emotional, etheric, and physical bodies that's occurring in this country and around the world. You are the light that is shining, and you're growing brighter. And you'll come out of this brighter yet. And it is our hope that the work that we began today encourages those who are willing to turn the light on, to flip the internal switch and give it a try. So, in your spinning octahedrons, pick one governmental official, speak to their soul, his or her soul, and ask his or her soul to flip the switch, to turn on the light, to awaken the soul in the process of waiting. To allow the crystalline octahedron a place to live inside them until they're ready to use it, but to at least let it be there. And now, very gently, feel your top pyramid collapse and your bottom pyramid arise. Feel the octahedron move into your heart chakra as a diamond light. And know that from your heart chakra, you can activate it at any time and in any way. To receive the strategies, optimization, and recognition that you need at any moment in time. We know that many of you may choose to work with us and through us at the solstice, and we look forward to that time together. It is always a pleasure to be in your company and to collaborate with you on the great good that is beginning to emerge through and on and in planet Earth. Blessings as always, and peace through your soul. We leave you in optimal light.